I guess there is a second way, though, actually, and this is a good transition, because we're now going to talk about Theo Von, is sometimes you become like this cultural and you become a big enough figure that some of the things that you say become something that the White House or others need to respond to. And so that's why when I saw this clip here of Theo Von, somebody who, I don't know if he voted for Trump, I don't know if he's ever said he attended his inauguration, and he's had on.
He was hanging out with Ivanka
Trump,
and Jared down in Mar-a-Lago not long ago.
Jared and Ivanka.
Just had JD Vance on.
Just had JD Vance on. Had JD Vance on before, previously on the campaign. The first major podcaster to have on Donald Trump. So, you know, he's also somebody, though, who is has been willing to at least speak out against Israel and its campaign in Gaza. But here, you have a very, very interesting message, like direct to camera. Pretty rare, in my opinion, from Theo on political events, speaking out against a war with Iran. Let's take a listen.
Trying to get us into a war with Iran or not, America, if Israel is trying to. I don't trust the Israel leader at all. I don't believe anything that guy says. And I don't think that our soldiers should have to go and defend stuff that they start. I'm not a soldier, so I'm obviously speaking out of turn. I'm not even brave enough to serve, so there's that element. But that is kind of how I feel, I guess. And so it's like, yeah, when do I speak? When do I say that? You know? Because it feels like they're trying to push Trump to go do that, and it's like, who makes that choice? Does he make that choice? And then what do we get, you know? What's the win for us? We're just involved in some other thing while we have suffering here at home. So maybe something like that is like, yeah, should I even speak up? Because I'm not in service. Servicemen and women may be like, we'll do it, you know, and that's their commitment and their job. But yeah, I don't know. That guy really scares me. And I don't know why we support them. I don't understand that. I wish they would really give us a better explanation, you know, especially after the massacres in Gaza. I don't understand. I do not understand that. And some people say, well, you don't know enough about it. It may not. But it's like, can I still speak about it? Can I speak about how I feel about it?
Serious as it gets on the Theo Von show. But look, I mean, I appreciate him doing it. And because, look, you know, there was so much, and I talked about this yesterday, Krystal, and this is even in the context of our own show. The White House made a huge deal about alternative media and podcasts, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, guess what? You know, we literally had either our second or our first biggest day ever this week, ever, in terms of our analytics. Why? Because we're providing content which is both newsy and it is obviously a lot of it's opinionated and against the war.
Yeah.
And anti-war content literally could not be bigger right now. So if they care so much about YouTube and about anti-war content, I'm sure Kyle's channel is blowing the hell up. You can go and you can look at the YouTube views on any, you know, major content creator who is political, who's speaking out against the war. I'd be willing to bet that they're all seeing similar rise. And so they cared so much about, the views of the bros and the podcast and all this other stuff. It's like, well, pay attention. Pay attention right now.
Yep.
Dave Smith, right? You know, you guys made a big deal about him. It's like, well, what happened whenever he speaks out against you? You know, really, it's only cable news and the political establishment, which is really just willing to go along with this.
Yeah.
People who are not connected to the system think this is very, very messed up what's happening right now.
But we all know what Trump is watching.
Sure.
We all know.
But you're
watching.
making a case for influence on Trump. I'm saying, though, that if in some way, like, again, they claim to have the pulse of the American people then at that time. Well, here's the pulse. I'm not saying we're representative of the whole country. Representative of some of the country, a decent amount of our audience voted for Trump. I know that. So, well, a lot of them don't support this war. So you should probably take that into account.
Here's what I would say is, listen, I think I think Trump is 100% correct that his base, his movement, they're going to be along for the ride. And also, listen, I'm sorry, when you poll the Republican base, they are just more pro-war than the Democratic base. That's just reality. They always have been. They still are, even as there's been some erosion in that direction. And, you know, there was obviously, like, it was important for Trump politically in 2016 when he finally speaks the truth about the Iraq war. And I think this time around, it wasn't that people perceived him as anti-war, that solidified his support with the base. The base was going to be there no matter
that's
what.
right. Yeah.
It's independents. And that's who, I think will be unhappy. I think independents will, they may at the beginning actually support the war. I don't know, because there's if you would be hard pressed to find a war that the U.S. got into that didn't enjoy some level of public support, unfortunately, over the course of my lifetime. But I think, Theo Von and those sorts of voices matter for independence. I will also say, though, just in terms of his framing there, it's so convenient for Trump that it's not him, it's he's getting pulled in, no, it's the Israelis, and who's really making the decisions here, and I don't trust that guy being Netanyahu. Like, it's very convenient. It's not even a critique of Trump. It's like, oh, these nefarious forces are pulling us into war, which is also, like I said, it's a convenient and inaccurate narrative. Maybe I'm expecting too much from Theo Von.
I was going to say, I think you are.
I said, it is a way to justify what is already a horror show from Trump. Already a horror show from Trump. It's a way to justify the things that already should be unacceptable, and people with character like Dave Smith have already said that's it. Like already, even without whether we get directly offensively or have boots on the ground or actively put up the mission accomplished banner, I'm done, I'm out. He should be impeached already for what he's doing. Like that is the actual principled, accurate read of where you are if what you actually cared about was keeping this nation out of war.
I would say with Theo and with look, one of the things I actually detected a lot, and I'm sure you saw this, is when he's like, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak about it. This is the concern trolling around expertise and really about people being willing to speak out on war. And he's like, I don't know if I know enough about it, because what happened? Theo had Candace Owens and I forget who else on the show who spoke out against Israel. And what do you think 98% of his phone was from some of the people who are pro-Israel? You don't know nearly enough to be able to comment on this. Like, how dare you say the word genocide to the vice president of the United States? Because that's what they do, is they'll be like, oh, you're not qualified enough or knowledgeable enough to be an involved actor. So I actually detected a lot of discomfort from him, having to speak about this issue. And ultimately, I think what's penetrated his conscience is about the Israeli military action in Gaza, which kind of informs a lot of his thoughts here. So anyway, I cut him and many others much bigger break. One of the reasons why you shouldn't hold Dave and Theo to the same standard is Dave is incredibly knowledgeable.
Well, and Dave has an ideology.
Yeah, I was going to say Dave is an ideological libertarian, anti-war actor. He's thought deeply about his own politics, about where things are going to go. This is just I don't know. I think take what you can get, because for me, it's a barometer of where things are and what is important. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.